Hello, good evening. Welcome back. It's In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. As ever, my name is Ross Brierley, a year older and none the wiser, unfortunately. But hey, that's what we're here for, to learn about what we've got in store for Saturday's racing. Hopefully, we'll get the go-ahead. We were pretty pessimistic about Newbury last week, but luckily it got the nod and it did not disappoint. But hopefully, we'll get Aintree and, of course, we'll get Sandown because we have an absolutely cracking card at Sandown. To be fair, an absolutely cracking card at both of the tracks, but an extra little treat with a weird and wonderful lineup for the Fighting Fifth, moving its way down south, much to the annoyance of quite literally anyone who has typed any words about it. But that might all be forgotten if the big hitters turn up and we get a decent performance. But who knows, that might be odds against in and of itself. But we'll definitely find some angles, some horses that are running at the very least, and hopefully some winning bets as well at both tracks. So stick with us for the next hour. Live and interactive, of course, so please do like the stream. Right now, I'm going to remind you throughout the show as well, because, again, the almighty algorithm is our Lord and Master. Right, so like I said, we've got a cracking little Tingle Creek. We've got some big field handicaps over smaller and bigger obstacles as well. And we potentially have two incredibly talented individuals going head-to-head from the same stable in the big race tomorrow at Sandown. That's right, there's Constitution Hill and Shishkin, but the same could apply to Robbie Wilders and Tom Segal as well. Wow. But the younger... The
young pretender, 6-year-old Robbie Wilders.
You're the...
Yeah.
You're looking well for a 6-year-old. So.
I'm not feeling too well, mate. It's been a lot of Christmas dues lately.
Has it?
Yeah, we had the HWPA Awards on Monday.
Yeah.
Met our very own David Stevens actually in the flesh. I don't know if he remembers it though. He was a few drinks down.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the Racing Post Christmas party as well on Wednesday. So yeah, it's been. I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep tonight, but more importantly, a good day's racing tomorrow.
So what you're saying is, if Constitution Hill doesn't turn up, it's because he's had a few too many this week.
I think so. Yeah, that's fairly logical.
Okay. Well, I've compared you to Constitution Hill.
Yeah, that's very flattering because I've lost plenty of. I haven't actually won much in my. I mean, I won a Most Improved Player award. Yeah. Lennon Wanderers under 13s, but what does that say?
Under 13s. That's 7 years away, isn't it?
That also, it also says that you probably weren't very good before, and you're more like average.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed them, but they made that trophy. They were like, Rob, we've got to give him something. Come on.
Well, it's only silverware in my cabinet, mate.
Yeah, that is true. Well, never mind. The Constitution Hill that is Robbie Wilders, the Shishkin that is Tom Segal, sat at home wondering whether he can be bothered to go racing tomorrow. I mean, to be fair, you do have a lot in common with him.
I definitely won't be going racing. I'll be going to watch Reading, that's for sure. We'll get battered. That's but each to their own. I went racing last Friday. I saw our very own Simon Clare at the races last Friday. We had a nice day with the Corals boys. Wasn't with the Corals boys, but they managed to filter into the flash place I was, typically.
Yeah. What was that? One of the Portaloos? Where were you enjoying the races?
I was in the Royal Box, Ross.
Were you?
At Newbury, yes, with the hoi polloi.
Right. Okay. Lovely stuff. Did you have a nice time?
Had a very nice time. Very nice day. Very nice lunch. It was all very nice until Riff Raff turned up. Yeah. Gordon Elliott, Simon Clare.
Yeah, well, you can't have it all. It was. It's always nice till it gets ruined, isn't it? But anyway, let's get stuck into tomorrow. What are we thinking? Never mind. Let's just again assume it all goes ahead. Assume it's going to be testing ground at Sandown as it certainly looked today. Are you excited about the cards, or does it look like again with the feature events potentially having long odds on shots? Are you just watching and learning still?
Well, listen, it's probably the only time we'll ever see Shishkin, Constitution Hill, and John Bon on the same card, isn't it? I mean, they will never run in the same card ever again. I wouldn't have thought. So any day these guys turn up, I'm looking forward to it. I would never bet in the races they're running in anyway, so it doesn't bother me. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, looking forward to it very much. And Aintree, I thought, had probably the better betting opportunities rather than Sandown, but I think the going stick there was 2.9 today, and it's supposed to. I mean, that's
2.9. I mean, that's
basically the River Thames, isn't it, or the River Mersey up there? But
did they get the going stick back after that, Tom? Because I feel like
they lost. The clerk of the course was still digging him out. But if the rain comes there, it'll just be it'll be completely bottomless, won't it? Yeah. So just be a matter of getting home, and it becomes adaptability rather than ability. I often find when the conditions get that bad. And I also thought the hurdles track at Sandown was really soft anyway today already. So without trying to poo-poo it, I think it's long odds on that Constitution Hill won't run tomorrow. But it'd be great if he does, because I think it's probably the hardest, well, might be his hardest task ever, perhaps. Yeah. They've got to give £7 to those two really good mares. He's got, we know he's better than the rest. I think, on heavy ground, I think it would be his hardest task if he turned up, but I'm not expecting him to, so probably all conjecture.
No. David Stevens joining us tonight as well. I know we've got some price proofs, David, but I noticed that James Knight was offering his own one about both Constitution Hill and Shishkin turning up. I don't know if that's officially on the show, but what are the chances, do you think?
No, they're not official Coral positions we're taking. James, of course, never short of an opinion or two. Look, as always, a bit like last week, let's assume it's all going to go ahead. We feared the worst last week but got the best. Let's hope again for tomorrow, because as I say, some terrific big names in action, both Aintree and Sandown. And you mentioned price boost, of course. Let's kick off with a couple that hopefully we're going to see in action at Sandown. These are two favourites that the Coral traders want to take on. One, controversially, from the Joe Tizard yard, of course, that Coral sponsor, is JPR1 in the Henry VIII. He is 94 from 7 to 4 for the duration of this live show. And in the race that follows, the 225 at Sandown in the McManus colours, Impostoir is 2 to 1, but he's 11 to 4 for the duration of this live show. As always, to a maximum of 20 quid.
Okay. Was that first price boost after West End Boy got beat in the last? Was that it? Where you were like, right, that's it. We've had it with you, Tizard. Suddenly fickle, aren't you?
No, Tom's already touched on that hurdle course at Sandown. Very testing today, and it was pretty sticky, and they didn't go enough of a gallop for West End Boy. But listen, he'll be back. An £11 rise, plus he lost Freddie Gingell on board. So basically it was £18 up from his last ride. So there'll be more days for him. But we've got our second Coral Racing Club runner coming up very shortly. Don't, of course, tune out of In the Know. Stick with us. But 6:15 at Newcastle. Cast no shadow. Narrowly beaten there last month. He's bidding to make amends for that in, as I say, about 6-7 minutes' time.
Okay, well, fantastic stuff. I'll make sure I definitely come to you at the furlong pole then, David, to see what look has spread across your face. But we'll get stuck into the Sandown and Aintree very shortly. But first, it's this. Racing Post Members Club then get involved in that, and it'll make it a lot easier to get involved in this as we go to Aintree for the 205, and we are going to go through a few at Aintree and then have a wander over to Sandown. So we start off with the Becher chase over at Aintree at the 205, where Ashtown Lad is the favourite here at 9 to 2. Percussion is 6 to 1. The big breakaway is 7 to 1. Highland Hunter 8s under supervision 9s. Celeb Delan is 10s. Coco Beach is 10s. Now Where or When is 11 to 1, and bigger prices the rest here. But as ever, given the unique nature of this test, we have plenty of horses who've experienced these fences in the past. In particular, of course, Ashtown Lad, who comes to defend his crown from Percussion, who was back in third on that occasion. And there's other horses here who've tasted the Becher Aintree as well. It should be fairly soft, a little bit softer than it was, I reckon, in last year's renewal, Mr. Robbie Wilders. Ashtown Lad shouldn't be too bothered about the ground softening, and given that the Skeltons appear to be hitting bullseyes all over the shop, he's sure to run really well and come on for that return.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, as we've discussed quite a lot, the Skelton horses have been needing their first runs back this season. It's been obviously mentioned that this has been his big target all the time, which you can understand why. He obviously won it last season. He's the right favourite, but I'm looking elsewhere. I think Cocoa Beach running is quite key in this because he forces, not only Percussion, but 4 other horses to race him out the weights. Percussion's £6 wrong now. That changes things quite a bit for me. The 2 I backed anti-post were Celebra Dallin and the Big Breakaway. They're not going to be inconvenienced. If anything, it's going to suit them because they're carrying less weight in tricky conditions. But I thought Celebra Dallin, I mean, there is a bit of a stamina concern, but I thought he looked right back to his best on his return here. I know it was only a veterans race, but he couldn't have won it any easier. And you look for his profile, he tends to improve for his comebacks. He is quite well treated on what he did for the field at Hobbs Yard a couple of seasons ago, and I just thought he looked back on good terms with himself. He has been aimed at this race. It was said that in a RP stable tour. And the Big Breakaway as well. We know that he's going to have nothing wrong with sort of the stamina of this because he almost won a Welsh national. He's unlucky to bump into the 2 Amigos there as a real course specialist who is very well treated.
Feels like he's been around for a long time.
Yeah, he's only 8, yeah. I remember when he was like a real prospect in the Ballymore.
Yeah.
But it's turned out staying chases are his sort of forte. And I think it is going to click for him eventually. I think that Badger Beer one would have sort of dusted off the cobwebs a bit. And Harry Codlin's always a top rider to be on board as well. So I think there's a couple of decent each-way plays there, Ross.
Okay. I don't know what you said, the line is the run style over these fences just tend to be a bit of a stalking type, and you make one mistake over these fences.
That's it. I mean, I took a slightly I'm not trying to boast. I took a different view. He's much bigger at the start of the week. Potentially now, I'd be more warmer on the Big Breakaway, to be honest, because he does have a little bit to prove. But I just think he's just back in form essentially.
This is the problem with you are the anti-postman. So
I do most of my betting at the start of the week. So
but if you've done your job right, you should be coming on this show and going, I've backed it at twice the price. But the problem is people. Well, I mean, it's not the problem. It's not that you're not doing it on your own. It's in the column.
No, exactly. Yeah, I mean, these bookies put out these markets so that they're very much there.
Yeah.
I often find you can get much better edges on the day, but there are many different variables. But sometimes it's hard to sort of get out of that mindset of what you've done at the start of the week and coming in fresh. But
you've looked at something at the start of the week and gone, that's overpriced, and then it's half the price today. It's like, do you still?
But it's like, I can't really come in with a third recommended.
No.
You can't really have 3 tips in one race.
Well, yeah.
You can, Robbie. Yeah, of course you can.
You think really?
Yeah, no one remember the first 2. No one reads that anyway, do they?
There we go. Fair enough. Old Shishkin coming in with a left-hander there. But the Celebra then and the Big Breakaway for young Robbie Wilders. What about not so young Tom Segal?
Well, it's looking very not so young. Yeah. Well past his sell-by date. I'm with Robbie on the Big Breakaway. I just thought that if he obviously fell at the first, didn't he, in the National? I was a bit unlucky that day. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. It's normally an all right jumper. He was second in an RSA or a Brown Advisory. I don't know what it was called back then. But he's a class horse. And if he runs to the level he did in the Welsh National, I think he's got a massive chance. I think he's a pound lower. He had the Big Dog well behind, didn't he? And the Big Dog was he went on to run in Grade 1s and 4th and 5th in the National. So I think he's got a very good chance under the prevailing conditions. I also think under supervision has a chance. I'm not worried that they're out of the handicap, really. I think when it comes to these races over in heavy ground on the National fences, it's about getting into a rhythm. Now, I don't know if he will get into a rhythm because he's not a brilliant jumper, but he's got some very good form. He's got a lot of good form around Doncaster, which is a similar sort of flat left-handed track. He's got a lot of soft ground form. Twist and Davises have a very good record over the big fences, going back a long time. And I just thought he might run well. I thought this might have been his target. I certainly thought, like Robbie, that Celebra Dallin was very impressive the other day. I wouldn't rule him out. See, these Skelton horses are really hard for me because it didn't show anything. It showed absolutely nothing on his comeback. And I find it really hard to back horses at 9-2 that have shown nothing. So he was off the list. Percussion couldn't win off loads of lower weights. Now he's going to run well again, but I'd be surprised if he could win. I thought Cocoa Beach wasn't out of it. You know,
I mean, it'd be a monster performance, but this is, I mean, he's just, again, he's another he's 8-year-old who's run 500 times, and the conditions are absolutely spot on, and you know he's just going to keep going and going and going.
I've got a theory about it, Ross. I think the softer the ground, the easier it is for horses at the top of the weights.
Okay.
For the simple reason that they go so slow. It's literally just about getting round. I remember backing Sunny Bay in the Grand National one year, and you know, I know he was only 2 left, but they just went so slow that the classy horses are going half the speed. So I just think he's a lot better than these. And if he got into a rhythm out front, I thought that was his best ever performance last time. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ran well. He's run well here before.
Yeah, we've had a few horses as well. I think the last Samurai was second off a pound lower than Cocoa Beach's.
Yeah.
Chris's Dream was off the same mark and unseated when swinging along on the bridle. So it's far from impossible to get in the mix off this weight.
I don't think so. I'm a big fan of top weights in all races. That's the first one I look at anyway. So he definitely won. It's also thought you've got to mention Highland Hunter, who was also second in a Welsh Grand National. He was second to, I can't remember now, but he was a long way clear of. I Will Do It. When I Will Do It won 2021, he was second to him that day. He was with Paul Nicholls then. He's now moved to Fergal O'Brien. I thought he ran a perfectly good comeback run. I know he's getting on a bit, but Fergal O'Brien, good record in these. I like Fergal O'Brien as a trainer, so I think he could come. I think it's wide open, but my main fancy would be the Big Breakaway, and I do think Under Supervision will go well as well.
Okay, and I mean, we've mentioned a lot there, but I thought Now Where or When was really interesting as well. Really, that third in the Bobby Joe Chase on its first proper start over a stadium trip.
I know you're not one for these jockeys, Ross, but I thought it was JJ Slevin rides all Stuart Crawford's horses in Ireland, and he's on the bottom one, which is miles out the handicap, and he rode Now Where or When last time. And Liam Harrison, that it wouldn't be a normal jockey booking for Stuart. That just makes me think they fancy Dorking Cock a bit, which surprised me, because like you, I thought Now Where or When was much more obvious of the pair.
That said, didn't the so-called Crawford second string win at Haydock? Was it last week or the week before as well?
Though. Ben Bromley, he rides a lot. He's Anthony Bromley buys all the Simon Munier horses, doesn't he? So I wouldn't be too sure that was a second jockey string.
Well, that's good, because I fancy one of Crawford's later on with Ben Bromley on as well. It's got half a chance as well. So fair enough. Okay, 10,000 opinions then in the Becher Chase here, David Stevens. Care to sprinkle a few more in the mix?
Just going in at Newcastle, at least they are on my feed. 5 furlongs. 4 places each way in this Becher Chase. Look, it'd be no surprise to see Ashdown Lad run really well. But unlike a lot of the Skelton runners, he has a lot to build on, having been pulled up in that last run. But as I say, it'd be no surprise to see him return to form. Percussion will run well, because he always does over those fences. I like the 2 at the top of the weight. It's interesting what Tom had to say about carrying big weights in these sort of conditions. Cocoa Beach has run really well in a couple of nationals without seeming to get home, so this trip should suit him. And Danny Gilligan takes off 5. And I like the Big Breakaway. They're keen to give him a look round. Obviously, he went at the second in the national. They're keen to try him again over these fences. He won't mind how heavy it is. He'll love the trip. And Harry Cobden on board's another big plus. So the Big Breakaway and Cocoa Beach for me.
Okay, there we go.
Don't let him stop, Ross. Keep him going. Keep him going. Don't let him finish before this race is over.
We're in front. We're making all.
Yeah, I mean, you're in for you've still got 3 furlongs to go, haven't you? To be fair, but the Becher, Robbie, you've got 2 angles.
I have, yeah. Let's stick with the Big Breakaway as the main one.
Okay, the Big Breakaway it is. Tom?
Yeah, I would stick with Robbie on the Big Breakaway. I think he's got a really good chance, actually.
Okay, and I'll go for
Harry Cobden's great booking as well.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that is true. Now Where or When I thought was interesting, but my heart wants Cocoa Beach, to be fair. And I think that's 2 fourths for the Coral Racing Club today, is it not, David?
Might even be 5th. Oh no, we've got 4th. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Fair enough. You're taking your glasses off to look. So are they for aesthetic purposes?
Superman.
Close-ups.
Right, that's it, yeah. Okay, right. Next race at Aintree then is a listed juvenile hurdle on the agenda. Le Fauve is 3-1 with Max of Stars. Liari 130. Eagle Prince 7-1. Knight of Allen is 10-1. 11-1 Latin Verse. 14-1 Paleo and bigger prices the rest here. Again, a fairly hard race to call. Partly because you've got it's a juvenile hurdle. Partly because you've got a Skelton newcomer joining the yard for the first time. Whether this horse will subscribe to the rest of the Skelton first-time out runs, because he's not been with them for very long, and who knows? But the market's very positive about him. He's 3-1 with Max of Stars. He ran a bit of a blinder behind Wahood, who's one of the big form lines in the Irish juvenile ranks. This looks a fairly weak renewal of this race, Mr. Segal, unless, of course, that Le Fauve comes out and bolts up, or Knight of Allen, or maybe Liari improves as well. But on paper, doesn't look quite as strong as we've had over the past few years. What was on your shortlist?
Nothing, to be perfectly honest. I thought we were doing the 2.5 mile handicap. I didn't realise we were doing the listed fillies race.
We're doing both.
It's hard to know. I mean, Le Fauve's from France, isn't it? Liari won okay, didn't it, on its debut for Paul Nicholls. Max of Stars is the form horse. Eagle Prince ran behind Burdett Road, didn't it? I don't know. It's all a bit of a wishy-washy form line, isn't it? One I was immediately drawn to was Knight of Allen, simply because Jane Williams has a very, very good record. She won the juvenile hurdle at Sandown today again, didn't she? She's got a very good record with juvenile hurdlers. This one's half-brother to... And the difference with hers is none of them have ever run before most of the time. And she sort of gets them and breaks them in and then starts in juvenile hurdles with them. Had a winner at somewhere else earlier in the week, a juvenile hurdler. So I was just looking at him. I wouldn't dream of backing him because he got carried out at the first in that Burdett Road race. But I would be interested to see how he runs, because I think he's a half-brother to Galahad Quest, is he? Did I say that? Just thought he might run well, but look, it's not a race I would ever have any dream of having a bet in, because I don't know anything about any of the horses.
Okay, fair enough. Max of Stars sets the standard, I think. Obviously, you got the French Raider. I thought Paleo a little bit interesting. The King Yard won this with Who Dares Wins a few years ago. He's from the same family. He was given a little bit of a sighter first time out, left behind, obviously by a classy horse. But the problem is the ground for him. But I like the angle that we won this race a few years ago with a very similar type. We'll have another crack. But
I get it. It used to be the Summit at Doncaster, didn't it? The race has changed locations. I just thought like Tom says, we don't know loads about these horses, but Paul Nicholls has won for three of the last 4 runners he's had in it, and his horse Liari. It wasn't that impressive when he won on his debut for the Europe in Canton, but he's very well bred. He used to be with Clonjord Rouget. He ran to an RPR of 89 in a conditions race in France. It's a bit of a guess up, but if there was a call there, it'd be with Liari, son of Cracksman. Obviously, Cracksman loves sort of soft, heavy ground. But I won't be betting in it. We'll learn a bit more once we've seen him run.
Yeah, I think I want to see how Max of Stars run, because I quite like Nürburgring for the Triumph.
Double.
Nürburgring was first past the post behind, beat Wahood. Wahood beat Max of Stars, so I want to see how that form line works out. But we'll see, I guess. David Stevens, not too many opinions on this, of course. I'm sure we'll have a little bit of a clearer view after the race, but you can't bet on them, can you?
No, indeed. So we'll have a go at it beforehand. I'm with Robbie. I'm going to stick with the Paul Nicholls runner. His record when this was the Summit was excellent. Harry Cobden, of course, goes to Aintree rather than Sandown. He's sure to improve for that Wincanton run, first run for the champion trainer. What is he? Around 130. Has been money for the one Tom mentioned there, the Jane Williams runner, Knight of Allen, 10-1 from 14. So one to keep an eye on. But Harry Cobden, as I say, goes to Aintree for a really strong looking book of rides. He's been in great form recently, and he's a subject for our next price boost. Harry Cobden to ride 3 or more at Aintree tomorrow. Was 4-1. He's now 5-1.
Thank you very much. 3:15 at Aintree then. Let's go to Tom Segal for this because he thought we were going there just a second ago, so we might as well go there now. 2.5 mile handicap hurdle then it is for the 3:15 at Aintree. And Sonagino is 4-1 favourite. Becher's Reflection 11-2. Vicky Vale 6s. Benson 6s. Chance of Tune 7s. Holm St George's 8s. Largy Shark 10s. Voida Rev at 10-1. Quite a few of them in with a chance here. Rafferty's Return ran okay last time out. Princess Altar I thought was a bit eye-catching. And Fingles Hill was fancied at Haydock. But didn't run particularly well, but might come on for that. So I think, Tom, once you go down every single runner here, you can give them a little bit of a squeak. Obviously, stamina might well come into play for a few of these. My main concern about Sonagino is a big eye catcher at Aintree obviously early in the year. Ran really well at Cheltenham last time out. Good form at Chepstow as well. I'm just worried whether he's a bit, I don't know, a few sandwiches short of a picnic, shall we say?
Could be. He could be. I was at Chepstow at the start of the season. He cantered all over him, didn't they, in the Persian Wall or whatever it was, and then looked like he was going to win a minute and didn't. It was what was it called? Greatwood last time. I mean, I think that's really strong form. Greatwood. I love all the figures and everything about that race. So he could easily be a class above these, but it's going to be very soft, and it's 2.5 miles. I think he'll get the trip. He didn't convince me that he got the trip at Chepstow when he got beaten that day. But that was his first run of the season. He is a Paul Nicholls horse, so I totally get why he's at the top of the weights. He is a classy animal. I was expecting him to be over fences by now, but I think they obviously think he can win a big race off, or a decent race off his hurdle smart. So I get why he's favourite. Becher's Reflection was really impressive on heavy ground at Wetherby. I liked him. I thought he idled in front, but this is a better race. And I'm not, I don't know. He's definitely got a chance, Becher's Reflection, but at the prices, I was looking elsewhere. I thought the 2 Stuart Crawford horses had a chance. Didn't know which one was the best. Daryl Jacob rides Home St George, and your man Ben Bromley rides Largy Shark. So I presume that's the one you were talking about, Ross. I think he's got a chance. I think they've both got chances.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit interesting. I mean, he absolutely dotted up in a couple of novice hurdles in soft ground. On this side of the Irish Sea, and then that Navan race back last time out, he kind of on the bridle, off the bridle, got outpaced by proper 2 miles. It looked to me like, oh, okay, that's your seasonal reappearance. Lovely. Let's see where you go next. And interesting that they're stepping him up, and they won that Haydock race with a similar type as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only thing I'd say is that once again, I don't know which one is the best, because I think last time Daryl Jacob couldn't do the weight on the Haydock one, which is why Ben Bromley rode him, whereas he could do the weight on the Ben Bromley one this time. So maybe he had the choice. Obviously, he's contracted to Simon Mounier, so maybe he had the choice. I don't know. Whether that makes any difference, probably not. But I thought Chance of Tune had a chance, actually, right down the bottom. Sam Twiston Davis. I hope he's going to have a good day tomorrow, because I had a few quid on under supervision, and I've had a few quid on Chance of Tune as well. I just thought he was crying out for 2.5 miles. He won in heavy ground at Chepstow by a long way at the start of the season. And then he ran in that good race at Ascot, Knickerbocker Glory ran it. But he finished right on the heels of Bad. And he finished in front of Teddy Blue and lots of good horses. And he looked like he was going to finish last, turning for home, because it was half a length, 3/4 of a length behind Bad. I know he was beaten a long way by the winner, but the winner beat everything by a long way. And I just thought 2.5 miles on heavy ground, it might just be his ideal conditions. So I gave him a shot down the bottom, because I thought the Ascot race was better than this one. Also got to mention my old friend Benson, because I backed him in the race last year and he didn't get past some 40-1 shot, and he's now, I don't know, 2 stone higher or something. If he wins this, that will be very galling, but I do think he's got a shot, because he absolutely trounced Home St George last year at Musselburgh, and I think he might even be a little bit better off at the weights, or if you take the rider's claim into account. So I can't rule out Benson, because he obviously likes the track, no problem with conditions. But if one of the Stuart Crawford ones doesn't win, and I couldn't choose between them, I thought Chance A Tune had a chance for the Twiston Davis. Massive.
Okay, thank you very much. Robbie Wilders, what's on the list for you?
Yeah, Chance of Tune was second on my list. I really like that Ascot form.
Yep.
I've backed Outer Belly for that big handicap at Ascot in a couple of weeks. I think that's good form. I was on Bad last week. I thought he was unlucky at Newbury. Well, not unlucky. He's probably.
He ran into one, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he hit even money in running, but yeah, it's no excuses there. But I like that form, and he's going to be. He could be certainly better up to this sort of trip. But
what's number 1 on the list?
I just think Vicky Vale is going to leave this mark well behind her at some point,
Okay.
and it might be tomorrow. You have to listen to what trainers say sometimes, and Skelton's always been saying that this horse is going to be ended up in graded races. He chucked her straight into the Challow on her second start, just like he did with West Balboa the season before that. West Balboa, it took her a while to fulfil her potential. She was beaten off a mark, I think, about 127 last year, but now she's progressed so much, she's favourite for a long walk hurdle. I just think this horse is surely going to be better than 121. I thought she showed more. She looked more polished at Wincanton on return.
Yeah. She looked like, to me like she just obviously the absence and the skeleton runners, but it looked like she hit the front like she was going to win and then got outstayed, I think.
Exactly, yeah. And the horse who beat her was well treated on past form and has a really good record fresh. So I don't know. I'm not going to rule her out because of that. I think that was quite a good race beforehand. There are a few other interesting ones from the Tizard stable and Nicholls stable. I just think now, particularly with that run behind her, I think 6-1 is a very good bet.
Okay. There you go then. Also, a quick mention for Prince Zaltar as well, who I thought ran quite well at Cheltenham last time out, and Philip Rothwell is in fantastic form at the moment.
Who was Prince Zaltar, Ross? You know these things. I've heard of Prince Zoltar, but I've never heard of Prince Zaltar.
Oh, let's have a look. Don't know. Let's have a quick Google. No, when you come up and the first thing to come up is the horse, then you know that it's nothing.
You know,
so.
Right, okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right, mate. It could have been, a Tolkien character or something. Who knows? But speaking of Tolkien characters, David, what are you? What have you got for us in this?
Kick a man while he's down, why don't you? 2 fourth places today.
Sorry, mate.
As the boys have alluded to, plenty in with chances in this. I thought Becher's Reflection actually there was still a bit of mileage in his price. I thought he won well at Wetherby last time. I thought the £7 rise was more than fair. Won't mind how testing it is. And a bit like Tom, you just can't rule Benson out. He goes well here again. He won't mind soft ground. And he's got William Maggs taking off at an important 7. So they'd be my 2 against the field. Becher's Reflection and Benson.
Okay, there we go. Vicky Vale is decent, says Off-World. Benson for Tom Leach. And I think that's about it in this race then for the Surrey 15 at Aintree. Right, let's rattle over to Sandown then, see if we can extricate that going stick from the conditions and hopefully. I mean, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice if we had this lineup tomorrow. Let's be positive and optimistic and hope that Constitution Hill at 2-9 turns up to Shake on Love Envoy at 6-1. You Wear It Well 11-1. Shishkin 12-1. Goshen at 33-1. Not So Sleepy at 50-1. Of course, Robbie, there is an alternate universe here where Constitution Hill has already won this race. Shishkin has won at Ascot and didn't even go to Newcastle either. I mean, there's 2 questions I'm going to ask you. First thing, assuming this lineup turns up, let's start with that.
Yes.
What are we expecting? How are we expecting this race to unfold?
Well, Constitution Hill. Well, if Henderson's happy enough with the ground for him to take his chance, I see him winning this quite easily.
Yeah.
But at the same time, will he be fully extended out? Because, I mean, I'd imagine that they would try and keep a bit left for the Christmas hurdle. They wouldn't want him to have too hard a race. So I'd imagine if he did run, I don't bet on distances, but I imagine it wouldn't be by far. I don't know. But yeah, he's by far the best horse in the race, obviously. I mean, the second favourite, Love Envoy, might be a mare, but she's rated £22 lower. That tells you the story. One thing I would say, if Constitution Hill doesn't run, I think sort of connections of Irish Point are going to look back and think, we might have missed a Grade 1 here. Yeah. I quite fancied him for this if Constitution didn't run. Obviously, he's not going to run, so now we have to talk about the horses that are actually running. Love Envoy.
I wonder whether, given the weather forecast, that Captain Guinness, for example, hasn't come over as well. I wonder if the Irish just thought, you know what,
just wait till Leopardstown.
Yeah, we don't. If it's, let's not waste the.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
journey.
I mean, you can't really do both. I would suggest they're close enough between each other now. But I think. Yeah, I don't think the market's missed anything there. I think Love Envoy, she's 3 from 3 at Sandown. We know she stays a bit further. She loves testing ground. I just think she's probably gonna follow home the favourite. I think it's quite a straightforward race to assess, Ross.
Okay. Unless, of course, it all goes to hell in a handbasket with non-runners in the morning, Tom. I guess the second question is, if we think Constitution's not going to run, then what's the rule 4 value here in the in the fighting fifth, and what do we back? Because I mean, you wear it well at 11 to 1. I mean, what are we thinking? So what's it, 70? What is it, 75p or something in the pound? I think so. What price of Love Envar and You Wear It Well be if Constitution Hill doesn't go? And is it value to just back him now and hope that he doesn't?
Well, our old pal Paul Keeley always says that rule 4 works in the punter's favour, and it does in this situation, because you'll probably end up getting a bigger price than you will once if he comes out. Question is, it's really hard to find the one to back if he's out, because what price will Love Envar be without him? What, evens? I don't know.
I don't know. You might be looking at what, 7 to 4 and 5 to 2, the front two maybe.
Probably. I mean, I think she could be shorter than that. She's got, and therefore, do you want to back Love Envar now? What a 75? I don't know. I'm not very good at maths. Never was. I can't really tell. All I'd say about it is that I don't expect him to run, and I'm a big You Wear It Well and Jamie Snowden fan. So I wondered whether she and Gatley, riding incredibly well, Gavin Sheehan. He gave another horse an absolute perler at Sandown today, I thought. And I just wondered whether You Wear It Well might be the one. She was impressive at Newbury, at Cheltenham last year. She was second in a Shallow. She stays very well. She'll love it. The more rain that falls, the better. I just wondered, she's had a run. Do you know what I mean? And there's just slight doubts about everything else. You could see Not So Sleepy even running quite well, couldn't you? Because he was second to Constitution Hill, wasn't he, last year in the fighting fifth? I don't know. But I hope Constitution Hill runs, because I want to see him again. Yeah. But I actually think...
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be lovely to see the best horses in the game, wouldn't it? What a treat it'd be.
Yeah, but Shishkin's in there as well. He's... it's an absolute blinding card if they all turn up. So let's hope they do. But it's not a race I can ever bet in. If I was to give a slight shout out to one, it would be You Wear It Well, just because I'm a bit of a Jamie Snowden groupie these days.
He's very, very good, isn't he? And my theory about trainers is that it takes them about 10 years to really, really hit their stride and get the hang of things. And I think it's been sort of 12, 13 since he first started training. So I think he's now into that period where he's like, okay, not that he knows what he's doing and he didn't before, but there's doing your job and then there's doing it really well and getting into that rhythm, isn't there?
Well, I also think, they talk about experience and being vastly experienced like I am these days. It's sort of, you do stop making the same mistakes that you made before. Yeah. You might not be as on the ball and you might not be as clued in as you were when you were really young, but you don't make the same mistakes. So I wonder whether he's sort of worked out how to get one ready for for a Paddy Power or a Coral Gold Trophy or a Cheltenham race. And he's just sort of learned along the way, little bit by little bit, and now he's right at the peak of his powers, and he's got a really good chances. He's got some really good horses. I think he might win the Welsh National. He's got another horse running in the Grade 1 in a minute we'll talk about, who I think might win as well. And I'm a big fan of You Wear It Well, so all power to Jamie Snowden from my end.
Super Survivor, is that the Welsh National?
Yes, I fancy him. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, Constitution Hill then 2 to 9. Yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't run, David, I think she's going to make it a bit of a test for Constitution Hill here. But yeah, we've got Not So Sleepy, who won on the flat at Newbury in heavy ground, which is about similar testing of a similar testing nature. God knows what Goshen's going to do. God knows what Shishkin's going to do. I mean, God knows who's going to turn up. It's both a nightmare and an absolute joy, this race, David.
It is. I mean, it's a spectacle, isn't it? Because that very reason. I mean, Shishkin alone, what's he going to do? Chucking Goshen in the mix.
I feel like it's a bit like it's like a comic relief lineup or something. You get all these horses that you don't expect to turn up in the same race, and they go, oh, look who's coming onto the stage here. It's it's a right old mix.
Well, it's worth tuning in for that alone. I don't think Constitution Hill will run. I'm with Tom on that. But I think it's just worth pointing out the balance of fairness. This horse was due to run last weekend at Newcastle. That was always the plan. Then on to Kempton. So the fact that Newcastle didn't happen, I don't think we could be too harsh on Connections if they choose not to run him. I hope they do. Of course, we want to see the good horses. But if we don't, I understand. But for me, it's not whether he runs or doesn't run. It's not a race to have a bet in. It's just one to watch, as you say, and see what these equine characters decide they're going to do or not do in Shishkin's case.
Yeah, absolutely. Constitution Hill currently 2 to 9 then, but I think myself and Mr. Tom Segal will be with You Wear It Well, possibly regardless. And Robbie?
Love Envoy without.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be betting in it. We don't have to.
No.
Don't have to.
No, you don't. There's loads of racing tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. You've got to pick your battles, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Which a lot of these.
What does Cheese think, Ross?
What's that?
Has Cheese been on? What does he think?
What does Cheese think? He said hello earlier. I don't know. I'm not sure. Duncan Evans says Shishkin won't get out of the gates. I don't know, would it be better or worse if we had starting stalls? Paul says you wear it well. Ian says Constitution Hill won't run. Tom Leach thinks Goshen without the favourite at 10 to 1. That's about it. I don't know. Cheese isn't here apparently. He only bets when the going is gooder. 150 at Sandown then. Moving on from the fighting fifth to the Henry VIII Novices Chase here. A Grade 1 contest and a cracking little lineup here. 6 of them running again. I mean, I'm an absolute sucker for a novice chase, and I think every single one of these has earned their place in this race. JPR 1 though owes connections and punters a little bit after that fall last time out at Cheltenham. He's 7 to 4 to make amends. Colonel Harry for the aforementioned Jamie Snow did 7 to 2. Unexpected Party again, a novice turning up in a novice's chase for the second year running is 7 to 2. Ikeo is 9 to 2. Petite Tonnerre is 10 to 1, and Le Patron is 16 to 1. The man to my left, who I'm going to come to for this race, might have had a bit of Le Patron this week. Who knows?
Oh yes.
But obviously there's an alternate universe as well where JPR 1 doesn't come down at Cheltenham and scoots up the hill and is 2 from 2 over fences. But does that unseat worry you?
Yeah,
And even if it does. But
yeah, I mean,
what do you think
just
of the form overall?
just at the prices. Yeah, I don't think the form's worth an awful lot, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, on Publique wasn't not exactly a top horse, but none of these are at the moment, are they? I mean, I was just thinking Ischio's much better off with JPR 1 than meeting at Newton Abbott in October. It's £15. It's a lot of weight. I know JPR 1 was much better than him that day, but he's a much better hurdler and he's got a lot of Sandown form. I thought he was interesting. I just think Unexpected Party as well. I mean, he's an 8-year-old, so he's theoretically going to be like this is him, isn't it? Like this is his level. Where the rest of them, they're going to sort of keep improving their 5 and 6-year-olds. Second season novice, he ran. I mean, he was well beaten in it last year, went third to John Bon and Boot Hill, but I don't think there's a John Bon in this, or probably even a Boot Hill, dare I say. So I'm torn between those two. I don't really like JPR 1 after that. He's just a bit too short for me after a fall.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, like I said, that weight. I mean, he was 4 to 6 to beat him, give him huge chunks of weight. He's now 9 to 2 to beat him on pretty much level weight.
Just looking purely at that, it must be value.
I think he's also I mean, you look at his form as well. He's a proper fresh horse. He's got his record second time after a win is shocking. So there's a possibility that he's had 6 weeks off now that he might come back a bit.
Yeah, that's definitely an angle. And something else I will say about Unexpected Party. I mean, I thought the Paddy Power Gold Cup was a really good race this year. He ran pretty well in it, to be fair. I mean, and then you go back to the Turners as well. It's the same horses who ran in the Paddy Power. Yeah. I just think you might know a bit too much for these at this stage, but it's tricky. I thought Petit Tonnerre was sort of quite eye-catching as well. I just wonder if they've got a handicap in mind.
Surely
you couldn't. Nah.
I mean, it's the Irish angle, isn't it? You get beaten in graded races, you get your handicap mark, and then you go up against handicappers.
Yeah, but why would you sort of leave a potential? This Grade 1 is weak. Like, let's make no mistake about it. Like, I think because
you can get more talent. You can get more on at Cheltenham.
It's true, yeah. But on raw talent, he's not far off these.
Yeah, fair enough. We saw a Grade 1 novice chase last week. Of course, Tom, won by a horse who remarkably still had its novice status in I Am Maximus. And given the market move for Unexpected Party and how much you love that stage star form, are you on his side?
No, I think he's a bit of a wuss, if truth be told. I think he's a bit of a wimp. I think every time the going gets tough, he doesn't get going on Unexpected Party. He's got the ability to win it, definitely has, and maybe they'll make the running or do something different with him, which might. But I thought he gave up the ghost pretty quickly at Cheltenham. Now, it might have been because they were too good for him. But he's done it a few times for me. So I like Colonel Harry. I think he's tough, hard. I think he'll love the ground. I think he's got some very good hurdles form. He was second to the Nemean Lion up at Kelso. I think that's very good form. The Nemean Lion ran well in the Greatwood off top weight. I think that's really good form. I think he's going to love. I think he's going to be a miles better chaser than he was at hurdler. I think he's going to love Sandown. He's going to love the hill. Ran 4th in the Tolworth last year at the track. I just think it's all set up for him to win this, Colonel Harry.
Okay, there we go. Thank you very much. Cracking little race. We've got, I think we're all against JPR1, even your odds compilers, David.
Yeah, he's of course 9-4 for the duration of this live show. My heart says JPR1. He was so unlucky at Cheltenham. It wasn't even a fall. It was just a stumble and even more sort of gutting. He jumped brilliantly that day at Cheltenham and he was going to win the race comfortably. He was going to hold Petit Tonnerre comfortably. That one obviously ended up finishing second. I hope they can make amends. I'm really happy with him. Initial reaction after that Cheltenham race was that they might look for something little just get his confidence back. But as Joe said, his confidence hadn't gone. And he's really happy with how he scored. So I hope he can make amends. Isio, though, at the price 9-2, just given the reversal in weights from their Newton Abbott run, has to be of interest. I like Colonel Harry. The Tom fan club there. Even Le Patron, he's dropping back in trip, and it's a big step up in grey. But 2 from 2, he's won both starts over fences easily. Gary Moore's record at Sandown is terrific. Hard to rule any of them out. I go my heart saying the JPR1. But at the 9-4 that we're offering for the duration of this live show.
Okay, thank you very much, David. As for the guys on the chats, absolutely no opinions. Apparently, this 150, plenty of opinions about other stuff, races coming up, previous races, and praise for the show as well, which is nice. So do make sure you like the stream, but no huge opinions in what looks like a wide open Novices chase. Right, so let's go to the 225 then, 2 mile handicap hurdle here, where 12 of them line up in theory. Another favourite who might not run though, in the shape of Impostoir at 2-1. Arcube is 6-1. Buxy de Epier is 6-1. Spirit Danu is 6-1. Punta del Este is 7-1. Gilles Jaune is 8-1. 10-1 Red Rookie and 16-1. And bigger the rest here. A Henderson favourite in a handicap hurdle and in those JP McManus Silks at a fairly short price. Now, if you'd followed that last week, Tom, you'd have done your cash with Under Control. And to my eyes, this looks an open race. Is there a possibility the favourite won't run given the ground? Because if he does run, he takes a huge chunk of the market against horses like Arcube, like Spirit Danu, who love the track and love the conditions.
I don't know. I think he'll probably run, won't he? Don't know. I think he will. It's a valuable pot. I suppose they could have waited for the Ascot race, but they've got Empirico Lord for that. So I think he'll run. I think JP will want to run him. I think he's got obviously the favourite's chance. Slightly concerned about stable form. They've had a few horses run below par, haven't they? Recently, Mary's Rock and the one south of the border today was pretty rubbish when he fell over. So I don't know. I wouldn't be taking 2-1 about any horse in heavy ground at Sandown in a handicap hurdle. It was impressive at Cheltenham without a shadow of doubt. Didn't think it was the strongest race ever run at Cheltenham. The time wasn't, gangbusters good. So I'd like to take him on. There's loads you can take him on with though. That's the problem. All those 4-year-olds down the bottom. See, there's been money for Buxy, Des Epierre, for Venetia. Beats a good horse that the Skeltons like on his debut for them. Spirit Danu was favourite to beat Blue King Daru or whatever it was called.
I thought he beat Blue King Daru, and in hindsight, he had no chance, did he?
No, in hindsight, he had no. But he pulled too hard. He was he's a lot better than he showed that day. Punta del Este likes heavy ground. Dan Skelton 2 mile hurdlers. Don't get many stronger. People with better records than him, as with Gary Moore around Sandown. So I thought it was really hard. I personally left it alone. I like Arcube a bit as well. If he turns up here and doesn't go to Huntingdon on Sunday because he's got such a good record at the track, I just wonder whether Lucy Wadham will want to keep him away from very heavy ground if the rain arrives. So I thought it was really hard. I think one of the 4-year-olds will win it. Which one, I don't know. I would probably just go for Punta del Este because he's the bigger price. But I could see Buxy, Despierre or Spirit Danu or any of them winning, really.
Okay, there you go. There's been quite a move for Red Rookie as well, who's, will like the conditions. Back over hurdles, over fences. I think he was 20-1.
Yeah, he's got an unusual profile compared to a lot of these, hasn't he?
Yeah.
For this kind of race.
Again, an absolute cracker. We've got Old Langer down as well. He'll have a target. Not going to be today.
Don't think tomorrow's the day, no.
I'd be very surprised.
Give it a few months.
Yeah. He'll He'll have a nice spin round, won't he?
Yeah,
he'll have a nice run.
Yourself. A couple of pounds off your back next time.
Yeah, why not?
I like. Someone was about to say something there.
No, I think this was just
I'm
laughing
hearing
at
things.
us dancing around the.
Yeah, I think Spirit the News the wagerer.
Okay.
Like you guys have touched upon, he sent off favourite to beat Blue King Daru. Blue King Daru has obviously come out and beaten older horses as a 4-year-old in the Coral Hurdle. You don't see that too often. That's pretty decent form, and he was too keen that day. He sort of stayed back on again at the end. Well, I think we can assume the run was needed, and Gary Moore at Sandown, obviously, he's got a superb record there. Loves heavy ground, 1 from 1 at the course. I think there's a lot to like, and I think he's very fair each way price at 6s.
Yeah, I went through his form as well. I thought, he won a few of them quite easily. And I wonder if it's any good. And I mean, I think he's 10, 11 horses have come out of those 3 races and won at least one race since.
The form stands up. You'd have thought he's definitely going to be sort of 140s at least in time. So maybe tomorrow's the day he proves it.
Okay. In Post 12, then 2-1 favourite, but we are taking this favourite on David Stevens. Are you?
We certainly are, of course. He's 11-4 for the duration of this live show. We're 4 places each way. The 2 I fancy have both been given a good mention. Spirit Donu, for all the reasons that have been said. The run behind Blue King Daru looks even better now. He's won round Sandown. Gary Moore has a great record at this track. And Punta del Este, the Skelton, the all-important Skelton. In fact, he's had a run this year. That was on heavy ground at Weatherby, so he won't mind how soft it is. They'd be my 2, I should say, against a favourite we all want to get beat.
Okay, there you go. And Paul says, Arku loves a bog and loves Sandown. Yeah, he does indeed. I've never been at the 4 on the flat or over hurdles as Arku at the track. 2 more races to go then at Sandown. Off to the Tingle Creek, of course, a Grade 1, just shy of 2 mile chase, but it's certainly going to feel like 2 miles or even further potentially tomorrow. And again, another short price favourite in the shape of John Bon at 1-3. Edward Stone is 5-1. Boot Hill is 10-1. Hadda des Obeaux is 14-1, and Nube Negra is 25-1 outsider of the bunch. And again, it's this 2 mile division, isn't it? It is this 2 mile division. We are a bit short on red hot challengers for the very best of them. John Bon is 1-3 to win this race. And he's up against old rivals, pretty much. Edward Stone, Boot Hill, Hadda des Obeaux, Nube Negra. I guess the only slight difference is he hasn't been to this track in proper Sandown bad ground, Robbie. He's proven he handles Sandown, and he's proven he handles bad ground, and he's proven he can beat all these horses. He hasn't proven he can do it all in that combination.
I guess so, yeah. We're probably clutching at straws in taking him on, I think. His last 2 starts have really impressed me. I mean, beating Captain Guinness, who's a really good benchmark for that sort of Grade 1, sort of 160 solid chaser. He beat him easily at Sandown the Celebration as a novice, and he seems to improve again, judging by the Schlur. I'm sort of surprised Edward Stone is running here again. I know he's impressive in it last year, but I don't know. I've wanted to see Edwardson steps up in trip for a while. I thought he'd be sort of an interesting dark horse of the King George myself, but they're going here. I can't see him reversing the form. I'd be interested in place laying him even, because I think Boot Hill and Hadda des Obeaux are improving sorts. Hadda des Obeaux will go out in front, and he's a bold jump. I really like him. I mean, he threw away a handicap at Cheltenham last time off a gift of a mark, and Boot Hill was just getting better all the time. And I mean, I suppose last season was sort of, at the time I was thinking like, is this really a good horse? But he's come out and won 2 valuable handicaps at Ascot. So the way I'm looking at it is probably to place late Edward Stone. Okay,
Edward Stone then, who Robbie thinks might well be stepping up in trip. I mean, having backed John Bon Antipost to the Ryanair, I kind of want him to step up in trip. But you could even win this race. I mean, Underso won this and then went on and won the Ryanair. So who knows what they'll do with John Bon? It is Nicky Henderson after all, Tom. But is there an angle into getting him beat tomorrow, or do we just admire his work once again?
Listen, he's 1-3. He's probably going to win. I'm not his biggest fan, John Bon. I just think there's a little bit of the dark of the night about him sometimes. He's sweating and he's keen, and everyone tells me he's a brilliant jumper. I'm not convinced he's a brilliant jumper either, but everyone else thinks differently. So fair play. I think he'll probably win this because he hasn't got that much opposition. As Robbie alluded to, Edward Stone didn't run very well at Cheltenham. It was a lot better than the last two runs. The Champion Chase run. So maybe he's on his way back, and he was really impressive in the race last year. But there wasn't a John Bon in it. Boot Hill's been winning those good handicaps. Not sure he would have won last time, but he made when Segal fell. But he made a sort of a very quick. He sort of ran away with Johnny Burke a bit down the hill and sort of got to the front. So I think he's probably a bit better than he showed there. I think John Bon will make the running, actually. I don't think he'll allow, because I think he'll want further, and I think he was better when he was ridden more forcefully at Cheltenham. So I think they'll go forward with him. I think he'll win, because I don't think there's much to beat, much to take him on with. But I'm a bit of a Boot Hill fan myself. I think he's getting better all the time, and I hope he gives him a race. Don't think he will.
Okay. Anything to entice us in the Tingle Creek, Mr. Stevens?
Well, it depends if you're a John Bum fan or not. He's currently 9-4 favourite for the Queen. Second favourite behind El Fabiolo for the Queen Mother Champion Chase. He's 1-3 to win this. He is 7-2 from 3-1 to win both those races. So if you do fancy him for the big one, he'll surely take this tomorrow. Just one thing about Edwardstone. I think he's engaged in the Peterborough Chase at Huntingdon on Sunday. So I'm sure connections have still left the door open that he might not necessarily run here tomorrow if they don't deem it, if the ground isn't suitable, or indeed if the meeting doesn't go ahead. So he could be stepping up in trip on Sunday. But yeah, this looks at John Bon's mercy, doesn't it? And he's the leading British hope for a pretty weak Queen Mother Champion Chase field.
Yes, it's a weak field, but the favourite's going to murder them, isn't he? So, but hey, it's not much of a prediction. But 3:35 last race at Sandown, then we're going to preview is a right old test. 3 miles, 4.5 furlongs here for the London National. And Beauport is 11-4 favourite. Fontaine Collonges 3-1. Broken Halo 6. Certainly Red 7s. Truckers Lodge 9s. Cyclop 9s. Fortescue 11s. And Boldmere 14-1. And it's bigger than the rest. This is going to test your jumping. It's going to test your stamina. It's also going to test me as an analyst, Robbie, because every time I see Beauport run, I think he needs a step down in trip.
Yeah, I'm the same.
They keep giving him more of a test.
Yeah, it doesn't add up to me. I mean, I think he is on a good mark, but that's the thing. Like, is he going to be staying on when Fontaine Collonges is very much staying on? Yeah, I like her. I'm glad she's got a win done, because she clearly wasn't seeing out last couple of races at Cheltenham and Haydock, and just Venetia Williams' horses this year have been running really well first time back, and not all of them have been kicking on second time. I mean, she won fresh last season. That good race at Haydock beat the Big Breakaway, who we obviously like later on for the Becher. Ned Fox is on board claiming 5. That means she's run off 128. I think she's just better than that. She can have nothing to worry about on the ground, loves it soft. I think she ticks an awful lot of boxes. I'm not sure this is the sort of best London National I've seen. Give a small shout to certainly Red. I think he's got one in him, but I just think the ground might be a little bit against him. I thought he was quite
pulled
an
him out a couple
eye-catcher
of times on
yeah, they have. I think 3 or 4 times they've done that. I mean, I read the trainer quote. She suggested as much, but I think he's got one in him. That was quite an eye-catching run in the Badger Beer, but will it be tomorrow? I'm not sure. I think Fontaine Collonges got a lot in her favour.
Okay. Also, the Truckers Lodge as well had a bit of a squeak here at Tom again. 11 years old, but a few of these, I mean, if they don't get home, my God, he certainly will.
Yeah, he definitely will. Are we sure Fontaine Collonges is going to stay the trip? I wasn't convinced myself.
I think so, mate. I mean,
she's only run over 3 miles. It's another 5 furlongs round Sandown. It was at the dog track that is Haydock. So, that's slight. I mean, I think she probably will. She's bred to. Just not proven. Beauport's the same, definitely, as Robbie alluded to. I think more than the point with him is how he jumps the first 2 fences. Because if at Ascot, he did stay on really well over 3 miles. He hit the line really hard, but he gets out of his comfort zone if he doesn't get into a rhythm early. And I think the key to him is getting into a rhythm. Sandown's a tricky track for that. So.
The only thing I would say, the potential for Beauport is he a Sandown horse? He's raced here 3 times. He's finished first, second. It might not be.
That's all over hurdles, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's a very tricky jumping track for a horse that it's a bit clumsy, and that's what I think he is. I think, like Robbie said, I think Fontaine Collonges is the most likely winner, definitely, given the form of Venetia and her first time out record. Just have it in the back of my mind that she's got to prove that. So at 3-1, I'm not sure I'm going to step in now. I mean, I know the boys are probably on a much bigger prices in the week. So there's 3 of them here that are due to run at Chepstow as well, aren't there? Fortescue and another one. A couple of them are definitely due. So it might cut up to a small field. Like you, if the rain just came, I'd give Truckers Lodge a chance, because I thought he was impressive at Fosslas last year. He sort of got back on track. Paul Nicholls in a Sandown Handicap. It just looks like he's got Freddie Gingle on as well as need to take 5 off or whatever. So I just thought he could go well, Truckers Lodge, but I get the Fontaine Collonges angle very, very much. It's just in the back of my mind, is she definitely going to stay? I think she probably will. But I think I would back Truckers Lodge at the 2 at the prices.
Yeah. I mean, back at when Fontaine Lodge won at Haydock Fontaine Collonges, was off at 132, and Truckers Lodge was off 145. Fontaine Collonges is £1 higher, Truckers Lodge is £8 lower, and will definitely stay the trip. So I think the prices may be a little bit wrong there. But anyway, David Stevens, last race we're previewing, what have you got?
Yeah, one more vote for Truckers Lodge. Placed in 3 Coral Welsh Nationals, won a Midlands National in heavy ground, one at Fosslas. That's always heavy, 3.5 miles there. So it doesn't matter how much more rain they get if racing goes ahead. Truckers Lodge at 9-1. I think is a very decent each-way bet to end. He's one of 2 Paul Nicholls runners in the race. Paul Nicholls to win this race. What's 4-1 is 5-1.
Okay, there we go. Right. Before we wrap it up, make sure you like the stream. I know you're watching. At least 10 of you. In fact, there's quite a few of you watching. How much have we got? 750 of you. 750. So if we don't get 750 likes, I'm not going to be happy. We'll get the naps after this. Enter the competition, you too could be off to the Cheltenham Festival. But before that, naps on Sandown and Aintree, starting off with Mr. Robbie Wilders.
I'm going to go to Aintree, Ross, the 3:15 Vicky Vale.
Okay, Vicky Vale it is. Tom Segal, what's the best bet?
Colonel Harry for me in the Grade 1 Scilly Isles Chase or whatever it's called. Henry VII. Henry VIII. Henry VIII.
Henry VIII, yeah.
Thank you.
There you go, one with all the wives. But we haven't previewed the race, but I do really like Booster Bob in that opener at Sandown.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah?
He's way too big, yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
He won that Uttoxeter race so easily, didn't he? I think Will Mount is a completely different test.
Yeah, I think he's...
Open up like 3-1, I think that could come right in.
Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, well, nice. Yeah, I like that. I like the agreement. But what about you, David Stevens?
Again, not a race we've looked at, but the listed mares chase that's moved from Carlisle to Aintree. Zamballa's won it for the last 2 years, but I'm hoping Pink Legend for the informed Venetia Williams team can deny her the hat-trick.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you ever so much. We'll see you next week. I've got a bit Scottish there. Next week for more fun and games. Like I said, like the stream, wake up tomorrow morning and hope that all the races and all the horses turn up and we can have a cracking old weekend. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.